My husband was a Baptist preacher who loved God and people. Dr. King loved God and people. In the National Baptist Alliance, they met each other, and they both were young at that time, so he got to know T.P. as he was known, and he was just Dr. King, or King. That was before he was doctor. He was just King. And they were concerned with each other. After the conventions and the congresses, they used to have what was called the midnight service. And my husband and I were young, so we would go to the first session, and then we would go to the midnight session. Everybody wanted to hear King. At that time, he was not Dr. King, he was just King. And we would go hear him before the services and after the services. We talked. So we got to know each other because he was so down to earth, and he never even talked about, greatness. It was just doing what people should do, loving God, loving people, and to inspire people to do what they could do and not expect other people to do for them. Well, you could see the Spirit of God within him, because he didn't, even in those days, he didn't think anything about what color you were, what size you were, or what you owned or what you didn't own or what you wished you owned. You were just a person. And as far as he was concerned, God loved people, and that was what God wanted us to do, was to love each other, do what we could for each other. Everybody felt like he was just a person who loved people, who loved God, and wanted to do what God wanted him to do. My husband happened to be a person like that. They enjoyed each other's fellowship. We would stay after the service sometime, after the midnight service, and talk with him. And he was just such a lovely person to meet and to talk. There was nothing to say that I'm great, I'm going to be great, anything. He's just a very humble person and full of the Spirit of God, and just loved people. That was it. No, there was nothing at that time that would have caused you to think that he would like to be Dr. King. He was just Martin, and that was it. That's the way we knew him, the way I knew him. A young preacher who was very much concerned with the improvement of America, of people, and not just one color or the other. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Just people. God-loving man. So many things happen, and we experience so many things because of color. I mean, if that's what you might think in terms of what might have happened, we had just so many different experiences along that line. But Dr. King, as he finally became known as, just didn't even bother about size, color, anything. The only thing that he was concerned about was loving God, loving people, doing what you could do to make the world a better place in which to live. And it didn't matter where you were from or where you planned to go or what color or what size. Growing up in the South, I had lots of experiences that maybe I remember one that I had. We loved people. People loved us everywhere we lived. And I lived in 3 different states. And whenever my husband would leave one place, one church to go to another, he served 5 different churches. It wasn't most of the time, well, always, he left what was better to go to something that was less. And we had lots of different experiences, but we would pray and he would say, God is directing. And if God directs, you can't fail. So I remember one place we were, and I went in to have a dress. As you can see, I was rather small, so I had to have most of what I got adjusted. And the lady that I met was a lovely person. We enjoyed each other's fellowship and everything. When I went when I went back to pick up my dress, uh, she wasn't in, and another lady was there. So I asked her if there was a package ready for Mabel Johnson. She looked and said, "No, I don't see a thing for Mabel Johnson." Well, the lady that was serving and I were more than just customer. You know, we'd gotten to be friends. And I said, well, she might have listed it in my husband's name. I don't know. She said, what was your husband's name? And I said, T.P. or Thomas. She looked, and that was a package that says Mrs. T.P. Johnson, and that was in the South, you know. She looked at me, and she looked at the package, and she said, and rubbed the Mrs. off, and handed me the package. And I looked at her, and I whispered a prayer, God, please help her, because it doesn't make any difference with me. And I walked out. It was late in the afternoon at that time. My husband was waiting for me, and when I got out, I mean, I was just still Mabel Johnson that had been there all a while, and happened to be married, and she didn't erase the marriage, because she couldn't do that. So what difference did it make? And that's the way people need to think about things. You know, it's not what happens, it's how you accept what happens. And that's what Dr. King was doing. And after he was not there, whatever was being done to try to make the world a better place in which to live, and especially our people who had been all but taught, well, yes, really taught, that you don't do this and you don't say that and you don't ask questions. And so it's the responsibility of those who know, like you and others, to do what you can do to inspire, encourage, and sometimes say, don't talk so much, just do some thinking. Great, wide, wonderful world. The wonderful, beautiful waters around you curl. The wonderful grass upon your breast. World, you are beautifully dressed. The wonderful air is over me. The wind is shaking the trees. It walks on the water and whirls the mill and talks to itself on the top of the hill. World, you are so great and I am so small. I hardly can think of you, world, at all. And yet, when I say my prayers each day, a whisper within me seems to say, you are more than the earth, though you're such a dot. For you can love and think, and the earth cannot. And that's what makes the difference in life. If you love and if you think, you make a difference.